students, in the last class we had learned about the natural gases and its liquefied form, that is compressed natural gas CNG, and today we shall study about how to manage these natural resources, especially the exhaustible natural resources. Now what are these exhaustible natural resources? About the exhaustible and inexhaustible resources we had already learned in the foremost class of this chapter. So just revise it once again. What are inexhaustible resources? Inexhaustible resources are the substances or the resources which are unlimitedly found in nature and which cannot get end, even though if we use them over and over again and again, even after several years also. So we can use them in any way we want and they will never end. For example, sunlight and air. Whereas exhaustible resources, they are found in limited quantity in the nature, and hence if after several years they will get end. For example, coal, petroleum, fossil fuels and so on. So today in this class we shall learn how to manage the natural resources which are exhaustible. So some natural resources are limited. That means which resources we are talking about here? We are talking about the exhaustible resources. So how could we manage these exhaustible resources? So by sustainable management. Now what is this sustainable management? The management of natural resources in such a way that it could be used even for the future generations also. So we have to, it's not like that we shouldn't use the exhaustible resources only. So we cannot use, we can use and we have to use, but in a limited way. So we have to use in such a way that it should be available even for the upcoming generations also. So which are the ways that we can use these exhaustible resources so that it can be benefited for us also and for even the coming generation also? Let us see. So we use these fossil fuels, even the fossil fuels. So if we conclude this as fossil fuels, it will involve the all coal, petroleum, natural gas and everything. So if we have to use these fossil fuels only when absolutely necessary. So we have to use these fossil fuels. For example, like the petrol and diesel, we have to use only in the times of need in which we are in necessary. For example, so many people you might have observed, so they will use bike or car even if the distance is walkable, or we can use a bicycle also, but people will prefer for bike or a car. Hence they are wasting the petrol and diesel, which is an exhaustible natural resources. So we have to avoid this. And so many people, they used to keep on the switches on of the lights even in during the daytime also. So during the daytime we must have to switch off the lights. So instead of taking the lift reaching for the first floor or second floor, we can prefer for the stairs. And similarly we have to reduce the use of the water also. Unnecessary people will waste a lot more of water while brushing or while having a bath. So that has to be managed. So in order to save environment, the 3 R's should be followed. So if we want to save the environment, we must follow the 3 R's. So what is this 3 R? So the 3 R means reduce, recycle and reuse. So we must have to follow these 3 R rules. So what is this 3 R? First is 1 R is reduce. So what we have to reduce? Reduce unnecessary usage of natural resources. So we must have to reduce unnecessary usage of natural resources. So like just now I gave the example. So instead of using the bike or car, we can make the distance walkable, or we can go the distance, we can travel the distance through bicycle. And recycle. So recycle means substances can be reused into, used substances can be reused into another way or another form. So recycle and use the natural resources in different forms. Especially the waste segregation is a must to recycle. So waste segregation. For example, students, we used to read newspaper every day. So and once if we have read the newspaper, it will be waste for the second time, right? And if that newspaper, it can be used for making a paper packets, or it can be recycled into another forms. So such kind of waste we have to before that First, we must separate into the waste. We have to differentiate the waste into two types. One is a biodegradable and non-biodegradable. So that means biodegradable means the waste which can be reused through biological process. Okay, such kind of waste should have to be separated, and the waste which we cannot recycle again, that has to be kept separate. For example, once if we have taken a water bottle, so we will consume the water and we will throw away that plastic bottle. Instead of throwing the bottle, we have to keep that bottle with us, and we have to carry the water from the home itself, from the used bottle. So in such a way, in small the things that work that we used to do in our daily life, so that things can be made very beneficial to the environment if we follow the recycle process. Okay, so the next are reuse. So what is this reuse? Use the same resources. So use the same resources again and again. So we have to use the resources, the same resources again and again. So for example, you might have seen the people, once if they use the thing, they will just throw off and they will take the new one. For example, pens. Even the pen, we will take a pen and we will use it and we will throw it and we will go up for the new pen. So instead of throwing the pen, we could have refilled the pen, or we could have re-inked the pen and we could use it. And also we can reuse so many things. For example, if we have a pot, water pot, if it has broken, instead of throwing the pot, we can take the pot and we can cut the pot and we can make that water pot into a planting pot. So we can plant a tree, or we can plant a small plant in that, and we can grow several small herbs around us, and we can keep for the broken cups. So we could take the broken cups and we could keep those broken cups for drinking water for the birds. So hence, in these small ways, we can make more benefit for our environment by following these 3 R's: reduce, recycle and reuse. So these are some of the ways in which we can manage the exhaustible natural resources, which is beneficial both for us and also for the upcoming generation. Now let us see what are the advices given by the Government of India while driving. So Petroleum Conservation Research Association, Petroleum Conservation Research Association of India. So this PCRA of India has advised people how to use the fossil fuels, especially while driving, and their tips are as follows. The advisors while driving. In India, the Petroleum Conservation Research Association, that's PCRA, advises people how to save petrol or diesel while driving, and the tips are: drive at a constant and moderate speed as far as possible. Right, student? So we must have to maintain a speed limit. We must not overspeed while driving. So switch off the engine at traffic lights or a place where you have to wait. So if the signal asks us to stop, we must have to switch off the car or the bike if we are on the road while driving. Ensure correct tire pressure, and we must have to check the pressure in the tires. So the last point, ensure regular maintenance of the vehicle, and we must have a check onto our vehicles regularly in order to save the petrol, especially the engine. We must have to check the engines of the vehicles that we are using. So these are the advices given by the PCRA, that is Petroleum Conservation Research Association of India, in order to save the petrol and diesel. So students, that's all about the chapter coal and petroleum. So in the next class, we shall start another chapter. So before that, complete the given notes of this chapter. Thank you.